Welcome to Dragonfire, Men's Alchemical Path. I'm your host, Daryl Krol. This is episode 1, and what I will be going into is a bit about myself, why I'm doing this podcast, what you'll get out of it, and I'll go over a few questions that I would be normally asking other men, so I'll just ask myself. So, long story short, I'm a carpenter, builder by trade, also an ex-soldier who served in active combat zones. I'm a man who has spent many years working on myself from the inside out through a lot of deep reflective work, deep introspection, spiritual work, traditional psychotherapy, plant medicine, and other alternative healing modalities. I'm a co-founder of a men's support group named Men's Business, which focuses on men's mental health, personal development, and purpose. I've held workshops, retreats, brotherhood meetups. I am qualified as an NLP coach. I have done Ho'oponopono facilitating, plant spirit ceremonialist facilitating, Reiki master 1, 2, and 3. Quite a few other modalities, which it's all part of who I am, what I wanted to heal within myself, basically, is why I did those. And then we got to a point where, when I started Men's Business, wanted to help other men. So, I have done plant medicine facilitation, men's coach, and I'm a channel. I work with dragon guides and I work with earth grids. I'm a co-founder of Dragon Worker. Part of my soul mission and focus is sacred masculinity, with the return of true masculine service to humanity, including polarity work between the masculine and the feminine, and a deeper path of embodiment of those things. So I've created this podcast to speak directly to men, connecting through story, lived experience, through the raw, unfiltered truth that most men these days can get shut down for. So this is a space where we can remember who we are beneath the conditioning, the societal attempts at shaming and shutting down the masculine, and the silencing of certain aspects from mainstream media or whatever it may be. All of this which parts of society put on men. The purpose of this podcast is to awaken that ancient stirring within us all as men that we have, and I'm sure you're well aware of, not just with motivational mindset, but with embodiment, honor, devotion, sharing stories of other brothers who have gone through so many similar things that until we're really or actually in a men's group talking about them, we don't realize how many other men are going through the exact same thing. We will speak about real things, real structured truth, the hard truths. We'll speak to men who are ready to go deeper, not just in work, but in presence, in his relationship, in his leadership of himself, his wife or partner, children, family, other friends, communities. This podcast is great, it will be great, is part of my greater mission, my soul mission on earth, which is to help build men who can hold the weight of their own soul and their own power within them, to walk beside the feminine counterpart in true polarity, in leadership, in devotion, in loyalty, to protect not only feminine, but the children, our earth, the energy of earth, and all of the unseen realms that are here to work with us. Everything I teach, from sacred masculinity to dragon work, polarity, embodiment, is rooted in the belief that men, we were never meant to be numb or passive or disconnected from spirit or disconnected from our true, authentic, powerful, dangerous masculine selves. Men are here to anchor, to guide, to protect, to ignite, and to lead. And this podcast will be an extension of that. It's not just words, it's coding. It's a call to all men who feel the pull, the call of their souls, their deeper knowing, genetic makeup, that we are here to be leaders and to lead with love, devotion, and honor. So, what will you get out of this podcast? You'll get the truth, the raw, unpolished, unsugar-coated truth. The truth that will call you forward, not to put shame on you or to make you feel like shit, but to wake you up to your own power, if you're not already. You'll get to hear stories that sound like your own and realize that you're not the only one going through those things. You'll hear about relationships, heartbreaks, leadership, fatherhood, failures, purpose, success, power, and not just from me, but from other men who have walked and failed and come out of the fire forged. You'll get structure, tools, perspective, and even more than that, you'll get to feel something. That remembering, that shift that says deep down, you're ready. You're ready to move into your sacred masculine role, to be in your king energy. So this is about calling men back into their bodies, back into integrity, and the real deep meaning of what it means to be a solid, dangerous, masculine, awakened man. Whether you're already deep in your work or just waking up or already leading others yourself, this podcast will help you. It will challenge you and it will support you. This is a space for men who are ready to live with honor, lead with unconditional love, and to hold their ground as protectors of something sacred. This episode is an introduction into who I am and how you'll get to know me. So my basic story is, making it shorter, I was born to a mother who was 17 years old. She was attending a Catholic school in year 11. My natural father got her pregnant, bailed on her before she gave birth to me. So my mother was in a whole lot of turmoil from the pregnancy. And whether you're aware of epigenetics and energy of children that even in the womb can sense their mother's pain and feel their mother's pain, this is what I was brought into the world with. After that, born in 1974, my mother met my stepfather, who was quite violent, abusive, narcissistic. My mother was mentally abusive, he was physically abusive. I was taunted, teased, made to feel like shit, made to feel like I'm not worth anything. And developed all kinds of insecurities, all kinds of anger issues. Wanted to lash out whenever I felt disrespected as I was growing older. As a teenager, I got into a lot of trouble. Got in trouble with the law, etc. So, through all of this, I developed a shield or an armor. I don't know what you would call it. So the one defining factor that happened to me after many run-ins and problems with my life, I was at a friend's wife's family's restaurant, which was a Spanish restaurant. We were sort of having a party there. Everyone had been drinking, or mostly everyone, and came time to go home. So we jumped in my friend's car. His brother was the one that was the allocated driver. As we're driving, four of us. So my friend's brother in front of me, I was behind him, my friend beside me, his wife in the front seat. All the windows were down. We're driving through Surrey Hills in Sydney. Bit rowdy. We got pulled over by the police. So red and blue lights flashing off the buildings on the side. Okay, the police come up to the car. Windows are down. We can hear exactly what's going on. Unbeknownst to us, that my friend's younger brother had his license cancelled. So they did a breath test, asked for the license, found out that he was unlicensed to drive. The female police officer then wanted to arrest him, at which point my friend's wife started to, a spicy Spaniard, get involved and telling her that she can't do that and leading to exchanges, etc. She then gets out of the car, walks around. At that time, my friend also gets out and walks around, and they begin exchanging, not yet insults, but getting there. Becomes heated, becomes physical. My friend's wife got grabbed by this female police officer. My friend then went to pull her away. A policeman grabbed him, sort of like in an armbar. Then I jumped out. At that point, grabbed the cop that was holding my friend's arm, pulled him off. I had him in a headlock, pulled him off, pulled him away from him. At that point, I got quite severely maced. So there's a lot of scuffling, there's police everywhere, but I think by that time 4 squad cars had turned up, so there were 8 cops basically. And here I am, maced, having a lot of issues with that situation. Handcuffed, hands behind my back, thrown into the back of a paddy wagon. I'm sitting there on the wheel arches with my legs across to the other wheel arch. And I'm finding it very difficult to breathe. And at one point I was gasping for air and I couldn't breathe. I, at that point, thought I was going to die. I thought, what a shit way to go. In the back of a paddy wagon, handcuffed. And these days, after doing breath work, I know that it was probably, could have been 30 seconds, enough to make me start panicking. And after that situation, I thought to myself, I'm not going to continue down this road. I'd gotten into trouble a few times before. Things were not looking good. Being arrested by the police, thrown in the back of a paddy wagon, and coming to the point where I thought I might die, I decided to make some big changes. I was on a plane a few weeks later, overseas. I went into the military, into a fairly decent unit where we were in active combat zones in the Middle East. Fast forward a bit, got into my first marriage and had issues, started seeing counsellors, psychiatrists, etc. I'd always been spiritual, or known there was something more, and had a faith about me. And I think at that point I'd started to, I'd had psychedelics before, not in safe settings. I'd done acid and things like that, so I had a bit of an expanded consciousness. And at that point I realised, okay, I've got to really start working on myself, because I had all sorts of mummy issues and daddy issues and and that was leading to not great situations in my relationships. Long story short, divorced. I came back home and I started to get into a lot more spiritual practices, ayahuasca, plant medicines, and really diving into who I was, what was at the core of me, who was Daryl. I wanted to find out. I wanted to heal all of these aspects of myself that were not serving me, basically. And I did that. I've been on a devoted path for quite some time. And I am now married to the love of my life. I've gone through many challenges, many initiations that knowingly now I did not have as a young man. I didn't have positive masculine role models. I had shit masculine role models. I had violent, angry masculine role models. I lived with my grandparents for a while, and they were in Poland. Were from Poland. So my grandmother was taken by a Nazi officer, or taken to a camp, taken by a Nazi officer, made to be the maid of his household, serving his wife and children while he was away at war. My grandfather, who was a partisan, was captured and then sent to a labor camp in Germany for 5.5 years. So there was a lot of generational trauma. And growing up with them as well, that activated in me. So there was many layers to this shit that I was carrying, the shadows that I had, the subconscious beliefs that I had, all of that. Now, I don't believe anyone will really get to a point in their life where they've fixed everything. However, we have to try, and we have to get to the best point we can. There's always a next step, always a next step. So for me, my commitment in this lifetime is to do also the other things that I do, and to my wife especially, and our future children, my lineage, which will continue, is to help other men overcome all of the shit that we have to deal with. And things are crazy today. I'm sure everyone can see after COVID how things changed and how men are bashed. And if you're a man and you speak up about something, oh, it's mansplaining. It's just, it's like a war on men. Anyway, we can be united, we can lead, and we can overcome. And we will. So part of my devotion is to help men get through their shit. That's basically who I am. There's a lot more to it, but, for sake of keeping this short and digestible, that's as far as I'll go with that. Now, I have questions here that I would be asking men in the future coming podcasts. So, what do I define as sacred masculinity in my own words? I would say sacred masculinity is a man that is aware of his own shit, that doesn't fear looking at himself in the mirror, to really look at himself and be brutally honest about his flaws, his character, his values, his actions. In my view, a man should keep his nervous system balanced. Of course, we all get angry, we all get sad, we all get depressed, we all get anxious, etc. Some more than others, but I think it is on us to balance ourselves the best we can, however we need to, or within reason, in order to be, if you're a man in a relationship, to be a solid masculine pillar for your feminine counterpart and your children. Further with that, we need to have purpose. We need to have a mission, not just ourselves or gaining abundance and financial security. That's all part of it, yes. However, it's also doing something. To me, it's acts of service to others, to help others, because I've been through survival mode for a long fucking time. I was in survival mode for decades, and I've only in the last year or two started to feel the shift out of that. I'm out of it now completely for the last 6 months to a year. However, I fucking struggled, man, in building and going out, adrenal fatigue, all sorts of burnout issues, leaving the house after 4 or 5 cups of coffee just to fucking keep my eyes open. So to get to a point where you can actually be relaxed, clear-headed, not in survival mode, is, to me, an act of service to try and help other men do the same thing. Now, what I'll be aiming to do on this podcast is to get other men to share their journeys, to share their experiences. They may be similar, they may be very different, but at the end of the day, from my experience hosting men's groups and coaching men, they are all in core essence the same thing. We're all dealing with something that is relatively relatable to another man. The situations may be different, yet the impact, the feelings, the disrespect, the whatever it may be, is the same. So let's stand up. Let's be awakened, fucking dangerous men to hold space for ourselves, for our women, our families, our friends, our communities. For now, I will leave it there. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next episode.